listing onto the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ right now is very overvalued. And so my fear is when we get listed onto the NASDAQ, we are going to be associated with the NASDAQ. And so our share price is going to follow the NASDAQ. And if the NASDAQ continues to sell off, Hightide, just by association, will also continue to sell off. And so another reason that kind of gives me that conviction is this gap to the downside at around 30 cents. And so before, I couldn't really see why or how we would get our price to this point. But now that we are going to be on the NASDAQ, which is going to be the hardest hit indice, during our correction, it could bring our price action as low as this 32-cent level. And so that would equate to around $4 post stock.
Welcome back to Dummy Boy Finance. I'm Dummy Boy, and I'm very excited today to be talking about Hightide because Hightide finally filled the gap here to the downside. And the reason why this stock is such a front runner here to outperform the market in the next couple of years is because this last year, this entire downtrend we've seen. So we're looking at Hightide here on the Canadian dollar. Today closed out at $5. Since our top here, we have just been trending down for a year, and the news with the company has actually been getting better and better. And so as an investor, those are the ones you try to snag for, the ones that are fundamentally getting stronger, but the share price is getting lower. At one point that is going to flip. And so if you don't understand why I'm showing you this chart is actually going to explain to you why this is such a great time to be buying Hightide. So this price action reflects the NASDAQ, and so we rarely ever see the price action go below this red line, and this line usually acts as a very strong support, and so rarely we ever get below this red line. The most recent time this has happened was when we saw our flash crash in 2020, and that was a massive crash that we saw in stocks. And it happened, and it looks very similar to what we're seeing right now. It was below the red, and same thing, we are below the red. And so people are panicking because, again, if I pull this even further, we don't stay under the red for very long. And so you always got to assume history repeats itself. Otherwise, you react on a dime. And this is why we go over charts, because today, not only were we extremely oversold on the NASDAQ, which we haven't seen in a very long time, we haven't seen this thing oversold since 2020, and look how low we are today. So this is a lot heavier than it was before. And so the fact that we're seeing this so low, I'm expecting to see a large jump in the NASDAQ. And so this is also represented by this candle. We went as low as almost 5% today on this index. That is very astronomical. That is not something that is very light. And so to close on not only a green candle, but near the higher end of the price action, that shows the strength that we are at the very least going to see our price come all the way back to this red line. We're going to get a back test. And I actually just realized that with this Canadian chart, you can't even see the gap I am talking about. So let me just put the American ticker in, because I know this one does show it. And so you can see this is the gap I'm referring to. It happened here at around 377 USD. And so even though we were seeing good news, I did expect this to come back down and fill this gap. And here we are on a very nice candle. Now we also have a slight gap to fill to the upside at 408, 406. And so today I was a buyer of Hightide. I've mentioned this in previous videos. Set a limit order for that gap. Usually you want to put it a little bit higher. Gap is finally filled, and the earnings report is coming up very soon. And so I think that could be a domino effect of great catalysts that could come out for this company that could help shoot this one higher. And so if you were a buyer today, congratulations. I'm a long-term holder of this one, but to finally see the pattern play out, and if hindsight was 2020, this is when you want to go big on a play like Hightide. Today was the day to be getting in. And so if you bought today, congrats. I think that's part of the game. When you see these opportunities, all you can do is average down or open it up in another account. And so if you guys enjoyed this video and this update on Hightide, and if you are investors of this company like myself, let me know in the comments. Let's have a conversation. Otherwise, I hope y'all have a great day. This is Dummy Boy Finance. I'm Dummy Boy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.